Good afternoon on a Sunday where this heat wave is hitting Ohio for for sure. It is like 90 degrees out and stuffy. How you fellas doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's also hot over here in Germany. Got over 90 degrees here today too, and nobody has air conditioning here, so everybody is slowly dying together. But that's okay. You'll have that on these big jobs. Wolfman,
Yeah.
how we doing?
I'm enjoying my air conditioning, so I'm doing fantastically.
Yeah, I bet you are. I bet you are.
I haven't stepped outside all day because I knew it was going to be hot, and I just been on the computer working on stuff, and yeah, so I'm excited about what we're going to get to talk to you about today. So, Kevin, how about yourself, buddy?
Oh, it's a day, boys. I am there. Let's just say there's a reason we're all here on a not regularly scheduled day. So, what is the big breaking news that we have in the MMA world? I know some of you will be shocked, right, Wade?
Oh yeah. So shocked. Like Kev was saying, yeah, it is some breaking news. Some that I saw coming, to be honest. But I want to give Kev the reins here to start us off. tell us your thoughts here.
Oh, Jon Jones, in the surprise move of the century, has announced his retirement almost immediately after Dana White finally made a commitment to the MMA fans by saying, we're going to get this done in 2 weeks. So I believe the moment that Dana White said that, the clock began to tick. As we've discussed on this program before, I had told you fine gentlemen that it was my belief that Jon Jones never had any intention of fighting. And as soon as anyone forced him to make a decision, he would retire, because that's ultimately all he's trying to do right now is get as much internet attention as he can. He has said as much on his own social medias that his goal is to get those views up and to get branding deals and to just make as much money as possible. So it always made sense to him to just stay the champion until he gets stripped. For once, and maybe a better late than never situation, the UFC did finally put the screws to him, and he immediately folds, right? Like, not nowhere close to the 2 week timeline we were given. I think it was like the day after the press conference. It's like, oh, because the question starts, even guys, for the announcement, the reporter's question to Dana was this, I'm paraphrasing here, but hey, you just gave us a 2 week deadline for Jon Jones. If you guys don't come to terms within those 2 weeks, are you going to think about stripping him? Do you think it's more valuable to maintain his championship for his legacy, or is it better to just move on? And before the reporter could even finish his question, Dana White's like, yeah, Jon Jones called me last night and retired. So I'm shocked, guys. Who would have guessed that Jones would do this? The funniest moment for me, before I hand this one off, guys, is because I have plenty more to say, but I don't want to take everything from everyone. And there's some more details to all of this. We can put our conspiracy caps on, but the funniest moment to all of this, in the most recent Dana White interview clip I've seen, it comes up, was John ducking Tom. And this one was hilarious. Dana says, no, Jon Jones has never ducked anyone. There was that one weird time with Chael, but other than that, he's never ducked anyone. So he couldn't even get it out of his mouth. It's like the most 1984 doublespeak I've ever heard. No, he's never ducked anyone except for that time he definitely ducked a short notice fight, by the way.
Yeah.
It's just like, bro, what are you talking about? Everyone's taking crazy pills. We're finally beyond this. I can't wait to talk about how we can revitalize what normally or used to be the most important weight class in any fighting sport, but especially the UFC. So, guys, before I blow my entire lid and chew up 20 more minutes, what do you guys think? Is anyone surprised here? What do we think of Jon and his legacy now?
The short answer is no. I'm not surprised at all. To build off the ducking thing, I can tell you 3 guys that he's ducked other than Tom Aspinall right now.
Oh.
Chael, you already listed one. He ducked Dominic Reyes. He jumped up to heavyweight so that way he wouldn't have to fight him again after their close fight. And then the third one, Francis Ngannou. There's 3 guys right there. So when Dana goes, oh, he's never ducked it. Yes, he has. Don't lie. He's not. He doesn't work for you anymore. You can throw him under the bus now. It's okay. But so
no, that's his boy.
Yeah,
he's got to give him that Francis treatment, dude. Well, everything Jon Jones says behind the scenes is different. Where is the burial?
But this is very, very important for heavyweight. Like Kev said, heavyweight was just kind of stuffed. None of the top guys were fighting more than once a year. So this was big. This was a necessary move, in my opinion. Dana's thing since they started the UFC has been the best will fight the best, no matter what. Mm-hmm. Jon Jones isn't fighting the best. He doesn't fit in anymore. It's that simple. So good. I'm happy for Tom Aspinall. Once he defends his belt in the UK, I'm going to try and sneak over there. But
nice.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Zach?
I'm not surprised at all. And like Tom Aspinall had said before, to quote him, he's going to retire Jon Jones without even fighting him. Well, guess what? He predicted it. It happened. Boom. I guess you can call that a moral victory right there for him because he called his fight and he did it, right? So already his championship streak is going pretty good because he's calling his shots already. So, I got to give it to Tom. And plus, on top of that, he's already said he's ready to be an active champion, which is what kind of going off what you said, Clayton, is what we need. And what Kevin kind of said, this is the heavyweight. Heavyweight is what everyone likes to see because they're slinging leather, they're going hard, they're throwing. You don't see a lot of rolling around in the heavyweight. Not saying that's a bad thing, Wade. I know you want to say something about that, but everyone wants to see someone get their head knocked off. So the fact that Tom is ready to go, he wants to be active, we'll see how active he wants to be. And the real question then is going to be, who's he going to fight? Who's going to be the first person that's going to get that shot and is going to give Tom that first title defense of his probably long reigning belt career here. So, Wade, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, as you said, Jon Jones was all over social media, and he's been building that up and trying to get the brand deals and stuff. And someone had asked him something about fighting. Paraphrasing here, he said something like, "I really just don't have that itch right now." He's like, "I guess if I feel that itch, then I'll fight." And that was maybe a week or 2 ago. I saw that, and I'm like, it's coming. He's going to be retiring or he's getting stripped here soon. So I'm not surprised. Not surprised. He's, like Clayton said, ducked many of people.
He's got a history of it.
Yeah. Yep. And that brings a good question for me, though, too. Jon Jones didn't want to fight Tom Aspinall because he was tired of fighting dangerous up-and-comers. But he's the champ. Obviously, he's got to do that. You got to fight who's the best right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bold concept, Wade. That's great.
Retired so he wouldn't tarnish his legacy. This is my hot take. But now, I think he tarnished it in the heavyweight division. You can't take away what he did in the light heavyweight. The GOAT, he fought. He's got a crazy resume for the light heavyweight. But now it kind of tarnishes the legacy in the sense of, oh, yeah, he was a light heavyweight champion. But really, was he really that good of a heavyweight champion when he came up? Cyril Gane was the only real challenge that he had, that he displayed why he's Jon Jones in the fight world, but then pushed for Stipe, who hadn't fought in 3 years, in his 40s, and then just held the belt so he could claim the longest reigning heavyweight champ. I think that puts an asterisk.
Remember, he only defended the heavyweight belt once.
Yeah.
Once.
And he has the second longest reign.
Now undisputed, though.
It's the
Not
longest.
undisputed, no. Most of that time was with an interim champ.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Jon Jones is, in my opinion, he's kind of like Khabib now, because Khabib has obviously the 29-0 undefeated, but he retired young. Jon Jones, he's like 28-1, 29-1 with the one loss being a DQ. Greatest MMA fighter of all time, but
yep.
you know what I mean? That was the big thing that was added this weekend, in my opinion. If he would have beat Tom Aspinall, nobody can dispute that he's the GOAT. I still don't think people can, but there's always going to be that argument now. He left that door open by not taking that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Does that give you more respect then for DC being the kind of guy who was that 38-year-old going out and fighting those young people like Jon Jones in his career then? Because Jon Jones didn't want to, even though he beat DC when he was young and all that stuff. But DC was actually bold enough to step up into the octagon and fight those young fighters, challenge himself in those ways. So in different ways, you could probably say DC is a better fighter in a way than Jon Jones is, though. I mean, you can't beat him in the octagon, but at least mentality-wise and as a fighter, you can probably respect him more.
Yeah, I think so. DC was a more respectable champion in that way, that he took the best of the best to make sure that when he was holding that belt, he was the best.
Yeah,
and he carried himself like a champion too. Like you didn't see him having all these allegations and freaking in court. Like he was one of the best champions, and he was a talker. He knew how to freaking build up a fight. He's one of my favorite champions.
Yeah, I was already set in stone in that opinion of appreciating DC more than Jon Jones. But the only thing I'll add to that whole conversation is the folks who will certainly refrain from having Jon Jones as their GOAT would also be folks who are more strict with their take on steroids as well, right? Because who has popped for one reason or another more drug tests than Jon Jones at this point? He's probably a Diaz brother. Might have the record. Nick might have the record there, but it's just another part. It's a very tarnished legacy. So I agree with you, Wade, on that, where at least as it pertains to the heavyweight division, it's sort of more of a blight on the history. Like when you look back, no one will think fondly of the quote Jon Jones era in heavyweight. It'll be reminded of, remember that time that once great fighter had a great fight and then ran and hid with the belt for 2 years. That's it's that self-fulfilling prophecy. He didn't want to ruin his legacy by getting beat by someone who very well could be on the same trajectory as him. And then history looks fondly on a lot of those losses when it ends up being to someone who was of high quality. Like no one really expects you to go undefeated in combat sports unless you're setting yourself up to just always win and therefore not fighting the best. If you lose to another eventual Hall of Famer on your way out as a great champion, how would that have tarnished your reputation and legacy more than ducking the entire fight? And then, of course, I can't not mention this because especially we've talked about all the asterisks, all the buts, and even Dana was unable to refute this when asked about it. There is Albuquerque? There's a court case in New Mexico involving Jon Jones and an alleged sort of, I'll call it a hit and run in a sense of he allegedly wrecked his car and then took off on foot, leaving a passenger there. And, you know, there's all of these are allegations. And when the reporters asked Dana if is that, well, he said, well, you know, as soon as I heard about that, I thought people are going to think this is why that he retired. And maybe it is. I don't know. You'll have to ask him yourself. So on that end, like, Dana has certainly his most used phrase. It was basically the Fifth Amendment in that interview. He's like, you'll just have to ask Jon. You'll have to ask Jon. I don't know. You'll have to ask Jon. So at least he's not running D for him unless the duck question comes up, in which case he absolutely does. But for all the others, Dana's just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Doesn't look great, does it? So speaking of tarnishing that legacy, I had to mention that. And I don't know, what do you guys think that had any impact on him deciding to retire now, or is that just bad timing? Because this incident happened in February, for what it's worth. This maybe he knew it was coming and thought, if I retire, people will be talking way more about that than they will about this. And maybe that'll help, you know, flood the zone, so to speak. So when you Google search me, it's all about my retirement and not about this court case. But so what do you guys think? Any possibility that impacted this decision, or is this just about not wanting to get in the octagon?
I think it's a combination.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. It's a combination. I think it adds to it. It might not be like the sole reason, but it's definitely going to add to it. I think that's one of the reasons why he doesn't have that itch to fight right now, is because he's got some personal issues he's got to deal with, you know? Plus, I mean, the guy's got how much money? I mean, he doesn't really need to fight at this point. He doesn't need to. And right now he's going to probably sit back. He's going to be retired, deal with his personal issues, hopefully stays out of issues. And then maybe it's a big maybe, if there's a big money fight that comes around, maybe he'll step out of retirement, but I really highly doubt it unless he already thinks he can beat them. And it's not going to be someone who, you know, is young and up and coming. It's going to be someone who's old and somehow persevered through and won some fights. And I feel like that's the only way it's going to happen now.
It's going to be a Paul brother, and it's not going to be nearly as long as you think, Zach. Sorry, boys. Hot take may be coming from me. Based on what I've seen from Jon Jones, that money's not going to last him. And he absolutely will be taking one of these ridiculous, stupid Netflix versus Jake Paul fights. He's going to go box somebody. Again, probably well beneath him, I would think. It depends on how desperate he gets. But no, I could see him absolutely doing some kind of circus stadium event, being part of, I mean, doesn't TKO have their own boxing promotion that they're going to have to continue to up the ante on? I wouldn't be surprised to see him do something through that avenue. But geez, dude, yeah, no, you won't have to wait too long, Zach. I have a feeling. Give it, I don't even think it'll be 10 years. We'll be like, oh, look at that. You come crawling back, you sad son of a bitch.
So this leaves me with the question: where does it leave the heavyweight division? Who's next? Clayton, you got any ideas?
I do. I have who I think should be next personally, and I have who I think will be next. So we'll just start with who I think will be next. I think it'll be Cyril Gane. I've seen a bunch of stuff with him wanting to take time to he said that he wanted to take a year off of competition not that long ago. So he could be doing that. He probably has some nagging injuries. Welcome to fighting, right? Everybody gets bumps and bruises that don't always heal up. Happens, I get it. But I think right now, if they were like, hey, August, you and Aspinall, are you in? He's going to say yes. And to throw another little kicker in here, they are scheduled for a show in Paris in September.
Oh.
Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there.
Do you think that was the fight news that Tom was talking about that he's going to have soon? Because he knew he wasn't going to fight Tom, or he wasn't going to fight Jones?
I think it could be, but the only reason I think he is going to get the shot is because he's coming off of a win, because the guy who I think deserves it most currently is coming off a loss, and that's Alexander Volkov, in my opinion. I think that Alexander Volkov has done enough in this sport. He's been around forever. He's had over 50 pro fights at this point. He's been there. Or actually, no, he's at 49 pro fights. but he's been there. He's been around. He's fought all the top guys. He was really close to a title shot until Derek Lewis knocked him out late in the third round of one of their fights.
Oh, yeah.
Happens.
Yep.
He's been working his way back up, lost a very, very close decision to Cyril Gane. Even after the fight, Dana told him, hey, I got you. They got that wrong. And guys have gotten title shots off of losses before. A name that we've already brought up today, Chael Sonnen.
Yep.
Chael's gotten a title shot off a loss. It was against Jon Jones in a weight class that he hadn't fought in like 10 years or something like that. So it is possible, and I do think that Volkov deserves the shot next, but I think it will realistically probably go to Cyril Gane.
Yeah, I would. I was gonna say Cyril Gane's probably what they'll go with because he's coming off that win. I wanted to see Volkov. I wanted to see Volkov in there for a championship. He's been running. He hasn't ducked. He's game fighter. Like, he'll fight anyone he needs to get to that belt. He ain't scared, and he's got so much experience. So yeah, that's who I wanted was Volkov as well. Blade squeaked one through this weekend. He didn't look the best.
No, Curtis Blades. Yeah, you won. Did you win?
Yeah.
Did you?
You
didn't win in the eyes of the fans. So, you did win. I think you won the fight, but that's not the performance that you want by any means. You can't call for a title shot off of that.
Not a championship. Not a championship showing.
No.
Mm-mm. Nope. And then Sergey, he won a split or unanimous decision against Rosenstrike,
who is no longer in the UFC, by the way. Just
unranked, not in there. So it's like, you got Cyril Gane and Volkov, in my opinion, that either one should be in there.
Zach, you got any other ideas on that?
On who they should be fighting? Well, yeah. I mean, they're probably more realistic, but then if you're going to talk about like what fans want and stuff like that, I mean, let's look at some different possibilities here, guys. Like, you got Francis Ngannou that we would still. I mean, let's be honest. I would still love to see that. I would love to see that fight. That would be, if he was still in the UFC, that would be a great just battle between those two, between Tom and Francis. But then you also have Alex Pereira that I wouldn't mind seeing him jump up to heavyweight either. And doing that because like we've said, the kind of the heavyweight's been stagnant. Him kind of being thrown in there. Yes, he's coming off of, not such he's coming off a loss, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like he lost his last fight, right? And that's the whole reason why Jon Jones is basically one of the reasons why he's retiring too, because Jon Jones wanted to fight him. That was a money fight for him. And so him jumping up to heavyweight would probably help the heavyweight. I don't know if he's going to do it, but those are two guys that are, completely out of the picture at this point that I wouldn't mind seeing in the heavyweight UFC talk here in the next year. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, so I agree that as far as like name recognition, as far as one of the biggest money fights you could put together, that either one of those, I think Francis maybe that's probably top tier, just because you would have Alex moving up a weight class with a little bit of a disadvantage, but I think either one would draw very, very well. The problem or the question that I'll throw back to you fellas is, are Francis and Dana even capable of working together at this point? Because in the way Dana has responded to these things, he's essentially saying publicly, look, Francis is telling you guys one thing. That's not who he is behind the scenes. He even said, I think multiple times in this interview, I don't like him.
Yep.
And so for him to get to that point where he's just like, I don't like this dude, I wonder how good the business would have to be for him to, for lack of a better term, not maybe swallow his pride or the equivalent, just deal with his disdain for this individual to go ahead and do business together. I mean, that's something pulling from the wrestling world. Vince McMahon, for all of his sins, of which there are many, he was very good at, doesn't matter how bad you screwed me 20 years ago. If I can make money with you, welcome back, pal. And I don't know if Dana has that same approach, or if it's going to sort of be the same response we got this week, which is essentially in fewer words, Francis is a snake and I don't want to do business with him. So yeah, what do you guys think? I think I agree with Zach that the fans would want to do it, but is it plausible that we would ever see Francis back in the UFC?
I don't think so. I think the stars would have to align. It would have a potential of a major payout, because the whole reason Francis left in the beginning, it was because he wanted to get paid more, and he wants I think it was like $8-10 million to fight. Like, Dana doesn't want to pay that. I mean, obviously, it's not a good business plan, as Clayton did his one research paper on.
I did.
Like, I just don't think it's feasible unless you're gonna have a crazy payout, like a boxing kind of payout, like where you're making $500 million and you can afford to pay him.
Is he making that at PFL?
No.
He's guaranteed what, 3-4 million?
I don't know
Something like
what his I don't know what he's getting paid. He's getting paid peanuts, probably, to be honest, in the PFL, but the PFL let him box. That's where he's really making money, is the PFL let him box.
Yeah, because also, as far as that goes, I don't think he can be making a ton, because didn't his last PFL pay-per-view didn't draw that well, did it? Like, I think they didn't sell very many. Like
I think they sold 25,000 buys, maybe.
That's better.
Something like that.
But still.
Which that's not enough.
No.
Not for what they were trying to do.
Yeah, not for what he wants to be paid either, right? Like, dude, that's sitting a charity here.
Yeah.
So that's the only, I mean, I guess to put a counter argument to our position here, Wade, I think the only potential really is if those diminishing returns continue. But having that door open for boxing, I think that's probably going to leave him open to still have the potential to make more money than in the UFC. So until the boxing well runs dry for him, I don't think we'll see him. So I don't know if the timing would match up that it would ever be in UFC and Francis's mutual best interest to move forward. And hey, as we've mentioned before, if the UFC would just now spend a little more effort in trying to make some stars with the people that they have in their division, instead of just always, you have these big personalities that pop up, and so you put the whole machine to revolve around them instead of trying to make sure there are multiple faces and personalities in each division so you can have your own homegrown stars. Like, maybe that's what they need to do, and they could just let Francis pound sand, like, just see you over there, don't ever come back. We're not going to pay you a shit ton of money because we're going to invest in our current division and find some guys who can go out there and also cut some promos and sell some tickets, so that we don't ever get held hostage like this ever again. Because you would think that this couldn't have happened again after Conor, but yet it did. And so how many times does it have to happen before the UFC makes a better approach to what they're doing? So if you don't get put in this position where you have a weight class that's so thin that one popular dude can sit on the sidelines for 2 years while your division just, it's like just evaporating from the inside. You're just losing all the meat to it. So I think they would be better off leaving Francis alone. Leave that for us to fantasy book here in the podcast world. And I think we'll see Jon Jones fight again before we see Francis in the UFC. How about that?
So then the more plausible would be having Alex Pereira possibly jumping up to heavyweight then. So that'd be more realistic look on something that could happen in the heavyweight division. And what's your guys' thoughts on something like that happening?
I'm going to start this off by Tom Aspinall would smash him. Let's just get that out of the way right now. Tom Aspinall would take him down and smash him. He said that he would do that before. He would shoot in the first 15 seconds. Makes sense. You don't want to stand and bang with that guy. Nobody does. But
Francis might.
Every round starts standing. Like, if he can figure out a way to get to his feet, it could be fun. He's gonna rematch Ankalaev first. That's going to be the first thing that he does. But say if Tom is an active champion like he wants to be, it's a year from now, he has 2, maybe even 3 defenses, depending on how they go. Why not have Alex Pereira jump up there? Say that he's beat Cyril Gane, say that he beat Alexander Volkov again, because they've actually fought before.
Mm-hmm.
So say that he beats him again and then throw another wild card in there. Whoever the UFC might want. Maybe it is Francis. Maybe the universe rips apart and he's back in the UFC. Why not throw Alex Pereira up there? So I think it's possible, especially if he holds on to the belt and cleans out the division. But because at heavyweight, having your heavyweight champ move down that's not possible. Tom Aspinall can't make 205. But no. Alex Pereira could hit the weight room for 8 months and get up to 250.
He walks around at 240 pounds, though.
Yeah, which is still a little small. I'd still like to see him add a little bit more to his frame if he's going to fight Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, and you got to remember, he's also 37 years old right now.
True.
So if that fight's going to happen, that's something that's going to have to happen sooner rather than later, because that boy does not have too much time left in the tank there, No,
he's got to start maximizing revenue now.
Mm-hmm.
I do see how that could be a good move, Zach, because as much as I would want to sit here and continue to berate them for previous decisions, you can't really do anything about the current state of the division. So while you're building up those guys, now that you can actually turn to the fighters in this division and say, hey, now there's opportunity. We don't have to worry about multiple fighters just looking around saying, why should I fight? I can't get a title shot anyway. Now there should be some new life injected into heavyweight. So over the next few months, we could see some rising stars, or the next year or so. So yeah, maybe in the interim, the best way to really get some excitement back into that would be to have Alex come up, because again, as far as name recognition and one that would sell tickets that'd be easy to market, you'd be hard pressed to find better. I think that's going to grab many more casual fans than, say, bringing Cyril. Like the fight fans would love that fight, right? But I think just anybody and everybody will be talking about it if Pereira goes up to heavyweight because of the run that he had. I feel like a lot of people, a lot more casual fans kind of came in to watch when he was on top. They would be there for that. And then I don't know if they'd get 2 of those or if it would be just a one and done. If Tom does what he says he would do, I think that's one shot. But if there's any amount of back and forth, I'm sure they would run it back, like business wise, they'd be running that back. So that could give you some time to build up a new ranking of interesting fighters that people are invested in. So I don't hate the idea. I'll be watching. I'd be at B-dubs with the boys for that one.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea either. What would add some zing to it is Pereira's gonna fight Ankalaev. He wins. They're 1-1. They're gonna have to run that back for the rubber match. Meanwhile, Tom is fighting and gets his 3rd defense.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's tied for the most heavyweight defenses, tied with Stipe. Goes for his 4th to beat Stipe's record. Alex Pereira bumps up and goes for the first only 3 division champ.
And so either way, you're in history, dude. That's right. Dude, you are printing money, Wade. Let's go.
Yeah. Either way, history's being made.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You don't get many opportunities like that. Wade,
No.
You are cooking, sir.
It's my hot take. Hopefully it happens. If the stars can align, they got to do their part. That would just boost it so much.
You're not wrong. I mean, that's something that the heavyweight needs right now, because like we've been talking about for how many months, it's just been stagnant. The heavyweight's been stagnant. So it needs a kickstart. It needs something. And right now, anything is better than nothing. So it's just nice that we're going to have a heavyweight champion there that has even claimed on social media, I'm going to be an active champion. There's going to be fights. We're going to get the heavyweight division rolling again.
Yep. And I'm excited to see that.
with that in mind, because we recently talked about Sean O'Malley and similar things, and I noticed in one of these interviews that Dana ended it with saying that he was looking forward to the Tom Aspinall era. So, knowing what we know, seeing what we've seen, previous discussions, do we think that Tom is going to be a new sort of, in my notes, I have it, forgive me, folks, as Dana's new favorite. I don't mean that to be too crass or, I don't mean to insinuate anything, but for lack of a better term, we have had those fighters that the company understands is good for business. And they may, have certain title defenses that are technically above board, but the fans kind of look at as this is a gift title defense, stuff like that. Do we think we'll see Tom Aspinall get some favorable treatment in the short term in order to try to recoup the image of the heavyweight division? Like, are they going to try to make sure, he does have multiple successful defenses so they can kind of have a star to build around? Do you guys think any of that might happen, or is it going to be the Wild West out here?
Well, all they'd have to do is give him Cyril Gane because he'd just take him down and beat him up. Like, if Francis Ngannou can do it, like, come on now, guys. Francis is not a grappler, but he was able to out-wrestle Gane for 5 rounds. So, yeah, I guess from that perspective, it kind of makes sense for them to do Gane, right? Because then Tom gets a crazy finish to start his reign, and it's, oh my gosh, this unstoppable force of nature. So yeah, I could see them doing that potentially. They're a faceless promotion right now. There's nobody who's the face of the UFC right now since Pereira doesn't have a belt. So right now, why not try and build up Tom Aspinall? And the UK is a great market too. Like, those are some of the most passionate fans we got. So that's definitely a route that they could go.
And Tom only being 32 years old, that's very young in the heavyweight division. So he's got plenty of life still in him. You know what I mean? Like, he's got a good career still ahead of him to build it and to make something of it. I'm here for it.
Can't wait for him to pull a Jon Jones and say, I want Brock Lesnar for my next time.
I'd still watch it.
He's going to challenge Mark Coleman while he's at it. Just, I'm going to challenge all these retired legends. Why would I fight an up and coming talented fighter in the top 10 of my division? No. I want to fight retired guys, please. So don't do it, Tom. But wait, what do you agree? Do you think that there is an opportunity there for them to set Tom up to be the next face?
Oh, absolutely. And like Clayton was saying, like, over there, some of the biggest fans, they come out and they support. So if they could build that up, go over there and multiple times a year, once a year, maybe, whatever it is, that's going to be a gold mine for them especially if they can build Tom up, and Tom's out here finishing guys left and right. But I got a side note. Did you see that I forgot which one it was, but one of the fight cards are going to be held on CBS?
Yes.
Yes. Let's
There's
go.
one coming up.
Really?
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on that? Is this a like testing grounds, or is this like something that's in the making?
Why not? UFC on cable would be sick. Are you kidding me? That'd be perfect.
Yeah, but won't those be more of like your fight nights though?
It depends on if they get away from the pay-per-view structure. That would make it a little bit more complicated, but if is
there more money in it that way? Cable?
CBS has got the money to get. Yeah. CBS could give them $1 billion deal. That's possible. CBS could definitely do that. I don't know if they'd have the time with all the like football stuff they do and whatever, but it's possible.
Yeah, because that's basic cable. You can still get CBS with a pair of rabbit antenna. So as far as households and visibility, I'm sure you get great sponsorship deals for the ads. And then you also have what is it, Paramount Plus? I'm sure they would, whichever streaming service is tied to it, I'm sure they'd put them up there as well. But I mean, to tie that back into the heavyweight conversation, at least my thoughts on it, I think this is perfect. When you have, even if it is for fight nights, that's great. I would argue that's exactly where fight nights should be, because the goal and the intention should be to try to, of course, draw in a new audience. But what better way? We're talking about a faceless organization, a company that, in my opinion, could do a better job at building. I hate to use the word characters because that makes it seem like it's not real, but to sort of turn the volume up on the fighters that do have personality, give them face time, and put it on free cable television so more people can see it. It's how hard is it to convert new fans when, in order to watch a show, you either have to pay a monthly subscription to get something, or you have to pay that monthly subscription and $120 to watch the event? Where are you getting your new fans? Is it the people on YouTube watching fights from 6 years ago? Is that how you're converting new fans to your product? So to me, I think this could be very good, because people who maybe haven't seen MMA fights in years because they're not paying for it might get a chance to see it and run into some really exciting fights. And it's kind of a great formula there when you have those. Like, hell, put the Contender Series on CBS. Like, put some people who are going out there with the intent of earning a big contract they know they need to put on a show, and put that in front of a larger audience, and you could really make some money in two different ways. So I think it's a great idea, guys.
Yeah, like you said, you need to build some stars, because there's no face. So what better way of, one, introducing new people into your business, into your fan base, and at the same time helping build stars? Because if you put the lower ones down there, they've got to start somewhere. These all stars all started at the very, very bottom. And why not, by bringing in new people, starting them there, you start having these people watch them on free cable. They don't have to be every single weekend, like they're kind of doing it now. It might be like an every other weekend, maybe once a month kind of a thing still too. You're still going to get people to tune in on it, because, not everybody likes every sport. Everybody's a baseball fan. Everybody's a football fan. Everybody's a basketball fan. And guess what? Fights are year round. That's the beautiful thing about this sport. It is a year round thing. So you're always going to be able to put on something whenever the heck you really want to. While football, like we were talking about, football is, fall sport. Basketball is a winter sport. You can go through it all. You're going to need something. So this is the best way. I like what your head's at on that one, Kevin. I think that is literally the best way of doing it, especially these smaller shows that are normally just, in Vegas for fight night. I think it's a perfect way to help build the business up even more and trying to get that money that they want.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, it's not only is it seasonal, but then you have your different network coverages. So CBS, while you're right, in the fall and a lot of the winter, they're not going to be doing anything on Sundays. They don't have a lot in the terms of NBA. So, they'll have March Madness, but it just would add to that. They already have some staples like again, March Madness is one where like people definitely tune into that every year. So if you get part of that larger rotation, CBS clearly a trusted partner. You're going to have good production value and everything. Like, they've been in the game for so long. So I think there's a lot of pros to this. We'll see. That's another thing that Dana was asked about it was about the boxing and all that stuff, and talking about specific deals. And because I believe the first event they're doing is on Netflix, so they were trying to get him to say like, oh, is the UFC going to Netflix? He's like, no, we're still talking to everybody. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more trial runs with other networks, but something like this I think is great. And that's not just because I still utilize my rabbit ear antenna. It's part of it, but it's not the only reason.
Nice. Yeah, so I think, any other news that you guys heard about?
I've got a final topic for fun, boys. After 5 years, Conor McGregor has finally earned a KO victory, allegedly in a bar at Ibiza. So we got that going for us.
Victory! One for the Irish.
Finally got back to fighting, huh?
Yep. Just sucker punching DJs or whoever they are on the dance floor.
A win is a win.
Making a comeback.
A win is a win. Okay.
I asked you to play Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba 4 fucking times.
Clayton doesn't even know who they are.
Sorry, Ireland. I couldn't think of any other bands.
Clayton, don't feel bad. I don't even know who that is.
Oh man, wait, come on.
I'll call Greg Maddox and see what he thinks.
Yeah.
Shoot. Well, I think that's all the breaking news that we've heard. So, Clayton, it was a pleasure having you back again.
Yes,
And
happy to be
All the
back.
way from Germany.
All the way from Germany, yeah. So,
Carnage Unleashed has gone international, guys.
International. Woo. Yep. So, hope you fellas have a wonderful Sunday evening, and we'll catch them next time. Adios.